Welcome to NAIFA's Advisor Today podcast series, where we focus on how financial advisors work, live, and give to their local communities and our greater financial services industry. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Advisor Today podcast, where we give back the voice of you, the advisor. And we're super excited about our wonderful co-host going forward, Carina Hatfield. Carina, how are you?
I am doing great today. How are you, Chris?
So good to see you. And
Great to see
we
you.
look forward to, one, getting to know you more, two, learning some of the things you got going this summer that you're super excited about, and then also hearing more about your experience at Congressional Conference, since we're right off the heels of that. So it's been a while since you guys have heard our voice, but Zach, it's good to see you, but I'm sure we have a sponsor for today's program.
We do. We would like to highlight the National Leadership Conference for 2025 this year. Are you a NAIFA leader ready to elevate your impact? Then don't miss the National Leadership Conference, your meeting to connect, collaborate, and celebrate. Join NAIFA's national leaders and colleagues from across the country for powerful sessions on growing membership, promoting advocacy, and driving chapter success. Get the training, tools, and inspiration you need to lead with confidence and have some fun along the way. The National Leadership Conference, where leadership grows and NAIFA moves forward. Registration's open now.
Thanks, Zach. You know, you can't lead from the back. You have to raise your hand and come off the sidelines. With no further ado, those who don't know, Carina Hatfield. Carina.
Hey.
Those who don't know, our wonderful Carina's a trustee and also a NAIFA advocate. And she will be actually partnering with us as we've talked about the revision of the podcast, giving the voice again back to you, the advisors, and identifying key NAIFA leaders within our organization that can help promote and grow this opportunity, this platform. And so we're super excited to have you.
I'm excited to be back as a co-host. I mean, I went from interviewee to co-host. I'm so excited for this.
So Carina, today we're gonna call it Corners with Carina. So tell us what are you up to these days? I mean, it's mid-year, summertime. I mean,
kids are getting out of school.
People that don't know you, tell us a little bit about kind of what you got going on. And we know that we'll talk about life balance here, but tell us what's going on in your NAIFA world.
Sure. So in my NAIFA world, I'm super excited to be a trustee again this year. I serve on the National Membership Committee as a liaison, trustee liaison in the retention side. So enjoy talking to people, getting to know why they're a member, what they love about NAIFA, what they love about this business, and making those connections happen. So that's been fabulous, spending some time really getting to know and help on the retention side of membership, as I've been on the membership committee in various capacity for the last 4 or 5 years. Also a liaison on the GR team, government relations, and that's new for me this year. That's been great and interesting to learn more about the bills and just all the different things that are happening on the advocacy side and get a little bit more dialed in on that, which has been great. And then I also serve on the board of Life Happens, which has been absolutely fabulous. When I started in the business in 2005, one of my first NAIFA meetings, so generational agent, third generation agent. So my dad was very involved in NAIFA, and he took me. My sister and I grew up going to NAIFA conference, NALU conferences, NAIFA conferences. So one of the first ones I went to as a profession in the business, though, in the lines of Life Happens, there was a Life Happens winner from Pennsylvania. And so we had our state conference, and my dad is on the executive committee. And at the conference, you sit on this like high table, everybody, all the executive committees in, tuxes or gowns. And so my dad sits me at one of the reserve tables. I don't know anyone I'm sitting with. I don't know the clout of anyone I'm sitting with. And here I'm sitting with this guy, and I'm just having conversation with him. And he's just talking to me like we're two professionals in the business. And about halfway through the dinner, he stands up. He was recognized as one of the Life Happens advisors for one of the Life Happens award winners. And I'm like, this is NAIFA, right? Like, he's talking to me and we're having dinner the whole time, and he's up there on the stage being recognized and giving a huge speech later on in the dinner. But it just a couple things, right? Like, it really made me appreciate people in this business, and especially people in NAIFA, just that you can make a phone call and have a conversation with anyone, and they're going to help you, and the camaraderie's there and all of that. And two, just the importance of life insurance. I mean, listening to those Life Happens stories, it just, if you're not crying by the end of them, I don't know. It's just, you go home, and as an advisor, I went home from our board meeting, and just like, all right, is everything up to date on my end? How is everything? Do I have everything planned for myself? And I'm texting Trish in the office during it. I'm like, we need to do more. I know we have clients that don't have life insurance, and we need to do more. We need to push this more. And that was, one of my huge side note takeaways, other than all the advocacy stuff from Congressional Conference, just being around all the great people doing great things. So yeah, that's my NAIFA stuff going on. So
Carina, talk to us a little bit about your experience, because you were at Congressional Conference and you had, everybody has a unique experience, but share with us a little bit about your perspective on the energy level, right? And the content, and then just the overall experience. We had over 100 new people to join us.
124, I think it was.
Just about that, amazing. Yeah. The first timers really came out this year.
Yeah. So our goal is to double that next year, Carina. So you got to bring at least half your town. Okay.
I know, right?
So we need to double that next year. That's the gauntlet thrown out to all NAIFA members. Bring somebody who's not a NAIFA member next year with you. So we'd love that. So Carina, share with us your experience.
The energy from, even from the board meetings, our board meetings, our Life Happens board meetings, they're always, it's great to see friends and colleagues and work together and do great work. So it starts there for me, going and then into the first timer orientation and reception. It was fabulous to see so many people who wanted to network, who wanted to get to know each other, who wanted to learn, if they weren't NAIFA members, who wanted to learn more about NAIFA, what we do, and how this association can help them, and make connections and stuff for them. So that was fabulous. And then it just kept rolling into the general sessions. Such great information. I know I had talked to some people during the first timer orientation, and even the prep call before, and specifically from our state, and they're new, and oh my gosh, am I going to be there by myself? Am I the only one that's new? That nervous energy of going somewhere, maybe kind of by yourself, but obviously, not by yourself, but not knowing a lot of people, and just fabulous. They business cards, sharing, stuff through connections through the QR readers and all that stuff. It was great. And the follow-up after has been great. The picture on the hill, perfect day for our picture on the hill. And I heard feedback, so many visits. The app, like the Advocacy Day app, was fabulous. They scheduled so many appointments. There were so many visits, and the feedback from the visits, like, we met with people in the hallway. There were so many people in the meetings. Like, it was just awesome. Every year is good. Every year I walk away saying, I do not want to miss this. I want it on my calendar. But it was an exceptional meeting this year. Great conversations were definitely had.
Yeah, and you mentioned that prep meeting webinar too on the way to the actual event. It's amazing to see some of the people, just anecdotally from Missouri, some of the people who are first timers, fresh and new, not really sure what's going on, versus the Tuesday that we're having all those meetings and it's all done and they're just buzzing with energy on everything that they've learned and experienced throughout that whole process.
Well, I think we take for granted the fact that we go to DC regularly, right? Is that how many people regularly go to DC? So they understand the institution of it all, right? And the way in which the business of government works. Just to see that and to experience that and be part of it is quite, moving, to be honest. I remember the first time I attended the finance committee. They're like hearing their meeting, and I'm sitting in there. I'm like, wait, like I'm on like C-SPAN somewhere. Like you can see me. Like, look, I'm over in the corner, right? But it's really interesting to watch the dynamic of how it operates, and then to be a part of it, specifically as a part of an organization where you're not alone, right? You're with others. And you're going down the hallway, high five, hey, there's another NAIFA member. There's another, and you can tell by the pens, hey, they're one of us, right? And they got the folders in their hands, they're walking all proud, and you can always tell, those people. So it's kind of fun to kind of see that. And it's also fun to see people get lost in the hallways, because when you go through those buildings, the buildings are, I'm going to 3510, like it's okay, it's not 35th floor. It's like, okay, so that is floor number 5. The second number is the floor. Like, so if you don't know that, it's like decoding. It's like national treasure. You're decoding these things, and I'm like, wow. So I'm still finding out more and more stuff as I go to DC. Like there was a train underneath the cabin. Who knows there was a train? You ever rode the train? People ask the question, hey, have you rode the train? I rode the train. I'm like, wow, how'd you ride the train?
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So things like that. So Carina, first time. So so this time in DC, was there something that you did for the first time while you were in DC this time?
Well, the presidential motorcade came through.
Yeah.
Right after the hill picture. And that was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I did go for a run by myself. One of the mornings I woke up, and usually I have somebody there that I've solicited to go for a run with me. But I woke up the first morning and I thought, you know what, I'm going to be in meetings. I need to get some fresh air. So I went for a run and, go down and see the reflecting pool and run down and get a couple miles in. And so I saw the sun come up because, of course, I wake up at home at 5 or 5:30 when the sun comes up because I have farm chores to do because I live on a farm now. So I'm up at 5:30 and I was up and I like, you know what, it's late enough. Like let me go for a run. So went down and just got to enjoy some time by myself and take some pictures and reflection of what was going to happen over the next few days, which was fabulous. And see the sunrise different. So the day before I was up and saw the sunrise over the horse farm, and I took a picture the next day. Sunrise over the reflecting pool, and beautiful. Both very beautiful, completely different looks.
Zach, anything you did for the first time this time?
Well, what was really nice about this meeting is, typically I go on the Hill. We had a lot of our Missouri contingency there, so I let them sort of lead their meetings, do their thing. I stepped back and let them experience that, as a lot of their first timers that were there. But what I got to do was a lot of on-camera interviews. I suppose I was off camera. We had a lot of people on camera interviewing our members and their experiences during the conference, post-Hill meetings, pre-Hill meetings, their excitement, what they're looking forward to, what they heard in their meetings with their elected officials. And that was really cool, just to actually have these man on the street type interviews with these NAIFA members. I've seen that we've done some in the past a little bit, but being part of it and actually getting to engage in that way was a lot of fun.
Who does that? Is it
Connor Dolby?
Yeah, I was gonna say, was Letterman or something? Like they interview people on the streets and ask.
Oh yeah. Kimmel does it too.
Was like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like the costumes with Lou Wilson on Kimmel doing crazy stuff on the street wearing like a bellman uniform. I didn't dress up for those. No.
Zach, we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to go around DC and ask them questions that everybody should know about.
Yes.
DC, right. So we can walk around and be like, what's the capital of Washington, D.C.? People be like, I think it's, they'll start making up random stuff.
Right.
Because people don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can have some fun with that. So anyways, Carina, let's shift gears. Let's talk about, you mentioned you're on like 12,000 boards and you're heading up 12 committees and 6 other, members committees and oversight and NAIFA and board trustees. So how do you find the balance? We know you are an avid runner or workout enthusiast. So let's talk to me a little bit about health and wellness and why that's important, because I think we spend so much time specifically on this podcast talking about the nuts and bolts of NAIFA, but are we showing up as our best version of ourselves because of exercise, diet, rest, and humor, right? So, um, you know, peak performance happens. So I'm gonna go back to my athletic world, and as an athlete, for me, it was, kind of pounded in our head that the balance of schoolwork, the balance of rest, the balance of actually doing your craft, and the balance of R&R, right? So when you're not actually doing the deal, you shut it all down and you go into the bubble, right? And so, Carina, I know you're a big advocate on the balance. And so, how are you making life work with all the different demands on your time?
I live and die by my calendar. That's number one. Um, my workouts, my exercise, my runs, my swimming, my time with my kids, and some people might say like, oh, this is, you've put this all on your calendar, so you're very not heartfelt, I guess, about it, different things. But I'm like, no, it's in my calendar because it's an appointment with myself. And so it all goes in there. Anything that I have on the schedule, I want to check that box because that's the way my brain and make what makes my heart happy. So I want to check that box. I want to, get it out and cleared. But it all goes on there. But I've done things also in a way to make sure I get things done. So I have a partner and we started an athletic club because there used to be a run club in our town and it went to the wayside. And so that we knew there were a group of people that really wanted to walk or run or bike, or get into, being athletic or being of that form of healthy, be it some form of walking, running, jogging, combination, biking, whatever. And so we started an athletic club 3 years ago now. So we have group runs on Wednesday nights. So like that's in my calendar. And sometimes like my kids are with me and doing it. Sometimes they're not, it just depends on who else is showing up. Sometimes I'm walking, sometimes I'm running my heart out like I can't breathe. But that's Wednesday nights in my calendar. And then we started doing lap swim. My partner is a triathlete. And so he wanted to make sure he got more time in the pool. And he's now convinced me. So I'm signed up for a triathlon in July, my first. And so we swam all last summer. This summer we're swimming 4 mornings a week, adult lap swim at our pool. So I became a lifeguard so my mom jokes around, I'm adding to my obituary. I'm like just adding things in my mid 40s. And so I'm a lifeguard now and I enjoy it. I enjoy helping our local community pool when they need extra staff and getting to just give back a little bit in that area. But we have lap swim 4 mornings a week and I'm out there getting it done. And some mornings, my youngest, she's 10, so she'll stand on the side, especially when my mom comes up to visit in the summer and she'll stand on the side. She's like, stop talking. I know you can swim faster. So she's my little coach. She'll go out on a bicycle while I'm running and, like, stop talking, stop. You can run. She'll harass me. You're too slow. But it's at the end of the day, it really is an appointment with myself. It's an appointment with my well-being and my health. And if somebody calls to make an appointment, I'll find time and fit them in, but I might shuffle, but that appointment's not going away on that day.
I don't think I ever mentioned to you, but you actually inspired me recently when you mentioned that one of your biggest pet peeves is when people say, I don't have time for that. And I think is for everyone listening, hearing everything that she's involved in, I think you can make the time if it's really important to you.
If it's important, and if it's not, I think that's the big thing. Like it is my biggest pet peeve. Someone saying I don't have time.
I don't say it anymore because of that.
Yeah, we have 24 hours. Pick and choose how you use it. And the way I do 24 hours is not right for everybody. By all means, I'm not asking anybody, but like you do you be good on what your schedule is and be comfortable with what your 24 hours looks like. And if you're not, then like what can you do tomorrow to make it a little bit better? Is it Is it making a better choice, like, having water before you drink that coffee, or, making just what the little, like parking a little bit further away. So you have to make that extra little walk, whatever you can get in. And I know a lot of people, working and training with people and running marathons, like and being in that situation with people, some people live and die by that schedule. In that, if they can't do whatever's on there, so say it's a 4-mile run and they can't fit a 4-mile run in, oh, training's complete, I might as well get out of it. I'm not going to show up for that race because I'm going to miss one. And I'm like, well, all right, a 4-mile run, like what if you can get 2 miles in? Or what if you have to walk instead? Who cares? Like, I mean, you're doing something. Just make it work. Get something in, because something's better than nothing. And I mean, yeah, you might not have your best race, or you might whatever, but are you doing it? Are you making? Do you feel good? I think it's a mindset.
Yeah, you can apply that to business too. It's like, yeah, sure. If you feel like you can't make all those calls, make some. Do something. Do something that you can take some reasonable steps toward a goal for the day. It's better than just saying, well, I can't hit the goal, so don't do anything at all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people say that in our business. I don't have that. I did have it when I was, because of being a captive agent. I'm independent now, so I don't have those, someone else telling me what my goals are. But I think a lot of people who work in any field, that are given goals by someone above them, they can feel so defeated if in their head one day they're just like, I can't hit that today, I'm just quit. Well, you're not helping anybody by doing that. So at least try a little bit. Chris, have you had experience like that? I mean, have you had a manager giving you goals previously?
Well, I think everything starts from the inside out, right? And then so I think the way in which you see the world and you compete, I think allows for you to have your own experience, right? So your experience, like you said, in 24 hours, you do it a certain way. For me, I do it a certain way, right? And Zach does it his, but as long as the most important thing is the most important thing, I think you get out of it what you want to get out of it. I think where people get into trouble is that they put other people's priority as their priority when it's really not, right? It's like, oh, well, this is important to them, so it needs to be important to me. And it's like, no, you're not motivated to do those things. So guess what you're going to do? You're not going to do it with all your effort. You're just going to kind of, half it, right? And so I think that is where, so I learned a long time ago to stop making other people's priority mine, because it's not. It's like, my priorities are my priorities, and I don't need anyone to convince me of my priorities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would love to learn how you did that, because I have that
Because it
problem
constantly gets
every
wrong.
day.
If you just think about email, right? So, like the way I manage my schedule, which is kind of crazy, because people are like, "Do you see my email? Do you see my email?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Well, why didn't you see my email?" I was like, "Because I don't check them to the end of the day. If I didn't get it before the beginning of the day, like at the end of the day, it's just a distraction to me." Like, yeah, I mean, if you need me, call me. If not, send me a message, right? So Zach could tell you if I want to talk to him, I call him. If I don't call him, I send him a message, right? So I send him that. If he doesn't, then maybe I'll reach out to him. But at the end of the day, if I don't talk to him until the end of the day, I'm good with, like, so I have these blocks of like seeing people, fighting to see people, and that's all I do during that period of time. I'm not doing other stuff. I'm not doing administrative stuff or paperwork or whatever it may be. But you had to get to that place where you're just like, and I found myself in my career at some point trying to fit myself into other people's goals and dreams versus my own, right? And so the business I grew up in, Carina, was I wanted to be, they had career agents, and then they had sales managers, and then they had general agents, and kind of the rank, kind of that's how you went through the ranks. And just like in sports, where you had the player, GM, coach, all those other personnel, and you had the guy who kind of owned the team. And in my eyes, I'm like, I want to own one of these teams one day. What do I need to do that? Like, who sets out to just be a player? I mean, like, okay, who sets out to be a player? Well, I want to be an owner, right? Because guess what? The owner can always still afford to pay all the other people. So I'm like, let's do that. So in doing that, though, once you get to a certain level based off of your skill set, the opportunities become different because there are other people that are involved that it doesn't matter, right? Of your, of your skill set. So, I call it the ivory tower, the place where people sit on the tower in a tower, like, oh, here's what we want to have happen here, right? And you try to move and put yourself in those positions so they would see you in a favorable light, but you find yourself compromising the other things that are important to you and meaningful to you. And so it took me 20 some years to figure that out, right? To figure out that if I do the things that I really want to do and I'm successful at those things, all those other things will come anyways. Versus if I do what I need to do and try to fit into their square box, or, as a captive agent, right? I'm trying to fit everything into this square box or into this round hole, and that's very difficult to do. And so I think it starts with you. It comes back to, what is it that you want? What is it that you're passionate about? What is it that you can be motivated to do, and pursue those things, and then everything else will fall into place, right? That's been my experience, is just, a disconnect between what you really want and the desires of others. I think that's a real thing, and it starts not only personally in business, but then it trickles over into your personal life, your marriage or your partnership with your partner. It trickles over into the way in which you parent your kids, right? So you see others and they're like, well, you should parent your kids this way. This is how we do it, right? And then all of a sudden you find yourself doing that, and you're like, wait a minute, I don't even believe that, right? Like those types of things. Like it, Carina, even into the way you work out, right? How many
for sure.
How many people are like you said, I got to convince people, like, no, if you put out there, I'm going on a run and I'm going to have the best experience, join me here. The people that are motivated to do that will do it, right? The people that aren't, you could tell Chris Gandy, let's go on a run. And the whole time I'm going to be like, why am I on this run? I hate running. It's the worst ever, right? The worst thing. I might as well get my root canal done with no Novocaine, right? And you don't have to convince me of the things that are important. Working out, yes, but working out in the way in which I work out, right? Some people may be motivated by that. Other people may be motivated by partnering with you. But it's not because you said this is what's important. Does that make sense? Right?
I'm 100% in that. I think it was easier. I think it's getting harder. I would like to see like a bounce back. But before we had all the technology, right? When I was just talking with my kids about a landline and my summer, because we're getting into summer and what the kids are doing and what the family's doing. And I'm like, listen, we had no cell phones. There was no tracking device. My mom, like, we got our money. She didn't even give me money every day. It was money because we did our chores. And then like we were home when it got dark, and who knows what we were doing, and but there is this, and I say that because like there's this, you have your phone and someone texts, and even my kids, we joke around. I'm like, oh, are you placing trades? Are you scheduling surgery? Like they have this, as soon as there's a text message, as soon as their friend, like they have to answer. They'll be mad if I don't. I'm like, do you know I go like, it's hours day. Like you don't have to, like, they're sending you a message. You do not need to respond right away. It's not instant. It doesn't have to be instantaneous. I'm like, it used to be like days. My sister would get a phone call, and if she didn't want me to have that friend that day, I might not find out until like summer was over and I went back to school. Why didn't you ever call me? Well, Trish answered the phone. She didn't want me to be friends with you because I was playing with her if I wasn't, and this and it goes back to your comment, Chris, like about the email, like you don't have to answer someone's email as soon as they send it to you. You don't have to, like, if someone calls and wants an appointment, or like, do what works in your schedule, or it's going to be a chore. It's not going to be your passion. It's not going to be, it's going to be work. Not going to be your dream.
Yeah, let's go back to, the letter communication. Let's treat texts as letters again. 3 business days. Give me 3 business days and I'll get back to you.
Well,
I would love it.
there's something that one of my friends is doing in California where they're doing a blackout. They have blackout days in their house where there's no technology in their house for one day,
I think
right?
that's awesome.
And so they have one day a week where that is like a thing, right? And so they're forced to disconnect from technology. And then when they go on vacations, there's no technology. Like they can take pictures with their phones or whatever, but they are very strict around be present where you are. They say be where your feet are, and to be present in the moment, and let that serve as some of your memories. Because do you ever go places and you see people that's all they're doing is like taking pictures or they're on their phone?
Concerts.
Experience.
Concerts.
No one watches a concert video back. Come on, let's be real with ourselves.
They're not even experiencing what they're actually doing. They're a once in a lifetime experience somewhere, and the only place they see it is for behind the lens of a camera, right? And so, you're right. We live in a world where the dopamine hit happens they say every 5 seconds or something is stimulating and then we get hooked to it just like any other drug, and then we need it and we want it. So like the craziest thing is, and I thought this was kind of funny, is if you ever see people running out of cell phone juice, they are like frantic. Oh my gosh, do you have a charger? Like, even if they don't even know the people, do you have a charger? Can I use your charger? Can I try some of your charger, please? Like, let me try. Like, you're like, do you realize, like, just let your phone die. Like, it is what it is. And next time you get next to your charger, get another one. Like, it's not going to be like the world is not going to end in the next 7 minutes if your phone. And I have some people here in my office, which I'm not going to say any names, but they won't let their phone get to the red, like where the little battery goes red. Like they won't do it. They're like, do you know what will happen? I'm like, isn't that like 20%? Like my thing stays below 20. I'm like, isn't that like
I feel like I live in the red at this point.
Yeah. The red is like the place is on fire. And it's like but do you think about what that's done to, and if we go full circle, you think about what that's done to the way in which we do business, the way we engage with each other, the way in which we communicate effectively and efficiently with each other is we're operating in these 10-second dopamine hits, right? And so the communication's broken. Half our kids can't add. They can't even do math anymore, right? They'll just ask Siri, right? They're doing these things. We're living in this space where we got to get back to. And so if we go full circle, I think as NAIFA members, we have to ask them to get back to the basics. I'd love for NLC to be when we're in meetings for an hour, no phones, right? Just for 1 hour.
Drop it at the door.
Drop it at the door.
Yeah. So when you go
taking that idea down.
The Beyonce concert, they have something called a black bag, right?
Yeah,
where it's like a little bag, you drop it in and it like emits the signal or whatever, and you can't unlock it until you get the little waiver thing. It's like a little thing they have when you come in the door. They give it back to you, but you have like a little bag. And so what would happen if we did that? Would people protest and be like, I'm not coming to the meeting? Or would they be like, you know what? I understand and I'm willing to do that. I think we would we'd be more productive. 2, we wouldn't be distracted.
Yeah.
3 is we're here now doing what we need to do, doing this work, and we're dedicating our time. Let's spend the time doing exactly what our intentions are.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Well, it's the same. I mean, it's the same. And people try and find those tactics during their workday, right? Like turn everything off because this is my hour block of just email. I'm not answering the phones. I'm not taking appointments. And then this time block, I am taking appointments. I'm not answering emails. I'm not answering my phone. I mean, people are looking for ways. And I think the hard part, good, but hard part is everyone does stuff a little bit different, right? We recognize that not everyone works best 9 to 5. Some people wake up at 5 8. Like, I mean, even my sister and I, we joke around because I'm like, man, I wake up early. I wake up when the sun rises. Naturally, and I need to get out of bed and get moving. Like I need to complete a task immediately, be it like the dishes, a workout, like whatever it is, something needs to get done, or my heart just races and I'm unsettled. She not that way. Like she slow wake up, enjoy a cup of coffee, look at the view, and she has that like later on that need to like complete a workout or complete a task, whatever, later on in the afternoon. Good and bad that we can recognize that, and good and bad that we, like the society has changed so much that we can work different hours and we can figure that out. Even better if you work for yourself and you can make that schedule. But it's just something that needs to be more talked about more and recognized more, and need to explore those different options to figure out what is best for each individual. Because when you're working at your best, when you're living your best life, it's a dream. Like nothing's a chore. Nothing's, you're not like, oh my God, I have to do that. If I told Trish every day, we're going for a run at 7 a.m., she would. I mean, she'd be like, oh my gosh, I hate you. And the whole time. But if she went for a run at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she'd be happy as a clam. Like it just same task, just different time of day.
So those who don't know who Trish is,
Oh yeah.
Can you speak to who Trish is? Because
Trish.
you mentioned Trish.
Everybody needs a Trish. Trish is my younger sister, as she'll say. She's also my office manager, our customer service rep. She's programs chair for NAIFA Pennsylvania. She hopped right in. But yeah, she's my I'm trying to think what her mug. She's a mug that says like insurance ninja or something like that. So she's chaos coordinator, right? So I'm the person, I like to be in front of people and I like to have the conversations. I like to go to the chamber meetings and the NAIFA meetings and talk to people and have those conversations. She likes to be behind a spreadsheet. A good spreadsheet is her favorite place to be. And that works because we recognize each other's, everybody needs someone that's their counterpart. And she's mine, just lucky enough to be my sister too. So
And talking about putting the right people on the bus, she's not afraid to tell you when you're wrong or when she thinks you're wrong, I should say. And I think that's something that more people need when you say everyone needs a Trish in their life.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, interesting enough, Zach, whether you knew this or not, it took me probably 10 times to see both of them before I was like, they were like, you do know we're sisters. And I'm like, what? What? Do you remember that? And you guys were like, wait, you guys are sisters. No, seriously. Oh, yeah.
We usually disclaimer all meetings with, especially in a professional setting. Hey, just so you know, we're sisters. So when, she'll usually say it. So when I talk to her, like, and say things and you say, you probably shouldn't say that to your boss. Well, it's because, it's my sister. So we talk like that. Or I probably shouldn't say that to an employee. Right. It's my sister, not my, there's no delineation.
So as we co-host this, I'm going to ask you some questions about hiring family and the difficulty behind that, because most of us who have small businesses have other siblings that we would either like to bring into the business or the potential of, and so we'd love to hear from you. Like, so what are some of the do's and don'ts, right? I'm not saying you have it right all the time, but some of the do's and don'ts, because I will attest that I have hired a family member and had to fire them, and the barbecue wasn't as fun as it could have been, because there's that awkwardness of like, yeah, you got fired, like that type of thing, right? Not on purpose, but at the end of the day, it's done with goodwill and good intent. But when it comes down to, so we'll talk to you a little bit about that. I think that'll be fun to kind of just talk about Trish, and third party, and just kind of talking about your relationship and how it's evolved and changed, because I'm sure it's changed, or at times it's at work, you're one way, and when you're not, it's another way. So we'll be interested to hear a little bit about that. As we round out today's conversation, we're on the precipice of an enormous tax bill being passed. Obviously it's getting some pushback in numerous sides. So we know And we'll be conscious of the fact that there are NAIFA members who agree and disagree with the bill itself. And so this is not the platform in which we're choosing one side or the other. This is a platform where we're highlighting the things that affect our industry and how it potentially affects you as an advisor in your everyday capacity of doing business. So Carina, with that being said, are you aware of anything of how this bill could potentially change or enhance the way in which you do business?
I think for me, mainly being in the property and casualty side of things, it's not something that's directly affecting, and I say that because I'm sure through some things it will, but insurance premiums and things like that, other than potential, and there's always been some potential to do some taxing on insurance premiums, which not for that, but for me specifically in my practice, there's not a lot. However, there is a lot that my clients are going to have questions about, and a lot that different planning or different changes in the plan might need to be had. And to be honest, one of those things for me is recognizing that is not my space. But I have a whole host of thousands of other NAIFA members who are professionals in this space and I can easily send them somewhere, send them to lifehappens.org and look up, find an advisor and find someone, and I can work with them. Or I can go on there and find someone who's in that question. Do they have a question about estate charitable giving? Do they have a question about the senior markets or whatever? And I can find someone who specializes in that can work with them to answer those questions and to be that trusted advisor. And it's one of the biggest things for me is being open to saying, like, this is my wheelhouse. This is not my wheelhouse. And let's find someone who has that passion and can work with you to help. So I know, Chris, you're in a completely different space than me. So I'm sure there's a lot going on with this tax bill that's affecting you.
Well, there's good and bad, right? And so obviously the ability to for the estate tax exemption to go up, which is great. People can put more money into their HSAs is great. And there's obviously some unique pieces that are in there that affect every walk of life, which is the reason why my disclaimer from this conversation is that, we live in a world of free speech, and at the end of the day, there are some people that agree with certain pieces and certain people that don't. The growth happens because we get a chance to actually have conversation. At NAIFA, we get a chance to have personal and challenging conversations, and being able to walk out of the room and still say, I respect you and we can still do business together. I don't have to agree with the way you do business, Carina. You don't have to agree with the way I do business. But at the end of the day, we can agree to disagree and still respect each other and still do business. And my encouragement is that go to NAIFA's website and look at the breakdown for the House and tax bill. Look at it and look at the bullet points of how it's going to affect you and your business. And just be aware of that. And like I said, you're going to have things that you agree with and disagree with, specifically in any law or any bill, right? That's just the nature of what the bill is, right? And so I look at bills a couple of ways. You have to give up something to get something else. And so there's always going to be that as it deals with bills and laws. And so this one is one that can affect our industry because they're trying to potentially tax the premiums that insurance companies have to pay. So that's a big one for us because that affects everybody who has an insurance license. So again, not to be on one side or the other, but we don't want that. I don't care who's listening to this. We don't want that because at the end of the day, that's going to affect all of us because our clients will have to pay more for those policies, for those coverages to protect the things they care about the most, their family and their loved ones and their assets. So we don't want that. So go to NAIFA's website, Zach, right? And they can see kind of the bullet points that's there in the bill. Have conversation with other NAIFA members about your thoughts around it. And as we move forward through this next phase of diplomacy, we're going to see some changes. But the key is for us as advisors is to advise our clients on the information that we've got or we're learning. So then we can see how it's really going to affect our clients, because that's really what the goal is how's it going to affect our clients, and how's it going to allow for us to continue to do business with our clients in a positive way. Carina, do you have anything else before we wrap up?
I was going to say, and it changes. It's like one of the things where, I mean, I write policies every day, and then people are like, oh, I have that policy, and then they just don't want to look at it again. Well, when legislative policy changes, we need to review our retirement plan. We need to review our life insurance. We need to review our home and personal insurance. It's one of those things where it's liquid, right? Like it's always changing, and just we as advisors are here to help clients, right? Do the best thing to achieve the goals they want, whatever they may be. And it's just one of those things where we're here as a resource, and definitely need to keep that in place and do those reviews all the time.
Carina, we are here as a team. And as we wrap up today, we look forward to seeing your face on Advisor Today. Those who listen to her voice, Carina Hatfield, you will hear her for the next 2-3 weeks on Advisor Today podcast. And we look forward to hearing her and her advice into the future. Carina, do you have anything else, or Zach, before I close?
Well, I just find it interesting that, because of the nature of podcasts is that by the time this airs, it's possible the Senate's already voted on this. And, it'll be interesting to see that, what that will look like for everyone. So if you're listening to this now, you might be like, well, this happened or this happened. So, yeah.
Zach, get it out today.
I'll get it out right now.
Get it out right now, Zach.
Right now, Zach. Let's do it.
Carina, do you have anything else?
I'm just looking forward to the next couple weeks and excited to get some other guests on here and be a co-host. And I'm super excited for the next few weeks and spending some time with both you and Zach, Chris. So excited.
We're super excited to have you, and so is NAIFA. So all those of you that are listening out there, you can download us on all the platforms where you download podcasts or listen to podcasts. And we look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. And thanks for tuning in to Advisor Today podcast, where we give back you the voice of the leaders in our industry so you can become the best version of yourself to serve our clients as we move forward into the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for NAIFA's Advisor Today podcast series. Make sure to subscribe to get future episodes. And if you're interested in coming on the show, let us know.